Normally, I would say if I would be the head of the procurement department, my job is to purchase as cheap as possible. And this question is a little bit into the direction why price variances should not be the only parameter to measure the performance for purchasing.
But there's also like, you can really purchase like as cheap as possible, but you cannot purchase good quality, let's say, which is going to have costs later.
Wonderful. This is, yes please.
You might also have some liabilities, so you must receive your materials as soon as possible, and cheaper producer might not provide this option for you.
You have some arguments which indicate that you should be careful with just price variances. With regards to material, you could be tempted to purchase cheap material of low quality. Low quality material could at the end be much more expensive because there is an efficiency variance because you have a lot of scrap also. And the same with labor. Of course, you can employ very cheap employees, but maybe they deliver not the same quality as more expensive employees. For example, when you are going to negotiate your future salary, you might not be willing to be the cheapest employee in the company, I guess. But you might be a very valuable employee, even if the salary is high, because you deliver good value for the company. So, with regards to labor, it's the same. Cheap labor could mean poor quality and low efficiency. So, variances should not be discussed only one by one. Variances should be discussed as a whole picture. Also, for example, prices for material or the quality of material could be also related to the efficiency of labor. So they are links, because if you have bad material, the maybe much more direct labor time is used to work with that bad quality material than if you have good quality material. So this is a question how to deal with variances. But now we come to the next chapter, to the final chapter for today, and this is to deal with overhead. So we have now discussed direct labor, and we have discussed direct material, but now it's about variable manufacturing overhead. The assumptions you find here, this is the basis for our Excel example further on. We have variable overhead of 312,000 in the static budget. And overhead is allocated based on labor hours. We know we have in the budget 2 labor hours pursued, and we have allocated a rate per labor hour of 12. So total labor hours were 26,000 in the budget, and the rate was 12, and this results in variable overhead of 312,000. And the actuals, variable overhead is 244,775. And we have determined that we need 2.15 labor hours pursued, and the overhead rate is 11.38 per labor hour. So the first step is here again, same procedure as before for direct cost. Compute the flexible budget for indirect cost for the overhead. And this is what we do on Excel right now. I have that on the second page. So we have the variable overhead for the static budget, and we need to compute that for the flexible budget. And we know we should assume 20,000 labor hours, and we have a rate of 12 per labor hour. So this is 240,000 variable overhead in the budget. And this will be the number what we further analyze. So again, we have some numbers to compute. Flexible budget for variable overhead. This is variable overhead labor hours pursued was 2, or I make it here. Variable overhead per labor hour was 12. Actual outputs in suits is 10,000. And if you multiply all these, this should result in 240,000. And again, we can split the static budget variance now into two pieces. Enter the sales volume variance, where we have the 312 as a basis, and then we'll take the flexible budget variance, and the sales volume variance is, by the way, we should change that a little, otherwise we get you should start with the flexible budget and deduct the static budget. So it's anyhow, it's a favorable sales volume variance, as the flexible budget is lower than, as a cost, than the static budget, and this is caused
by a reduced output. We need to